So here's a story that gives even more credit to the narrative that PMO is little more than self-castration. Since I quit PMO and turned my health over the last 5 years, I have literally tripled my testosterone levels from 242 nanograms per deciliter to 760 as of my recent test a couple of months ago. What's very curious back then is with 242 total T, my doctors told me I was in the normal range. Well, they didn't tell me that it was the normal range for somebody who is 70 years old. Look, gentlemen, there is no authority figure that finds it beneficial to promote practices that give you back more individual sovereignty, more individual agency, potency, control, and dominion over your life. It does not benefit their particular outcomes. It does not benefit their bottom line. Fundamentally, there is no incentive to tell individuals like this individual was pre 5 years ago, that you need to do something about this. And some of the things that we do about it might be seen as quite dramatic, maybe unheard of. Don't wish to go into a diatribe again of how fundamental testosterone is as a molecule. If you're a young man who's familiar with anything in the self-improvement world, then you know this. This is your endocrinology. It's fundamentally your health that could subsequently be affecting your ways more than just the superficial ones, how you appear to be. I mean, most people in their minds conjure up these ideas of Conan the Barbarian and smoking cigars and driving fast cars when the word testosterone arises in casual conversation. But for me, it's about what it does here. It's about how it mitigates anxiety, depression, fatigue. It's how it affects your drive. It's how it affects your ability to mitigate neurosis. And in a world that is neurotic, very neurotic indeed, this is an antidote. This is a cure. So we'll continue on here. I am incredibly more vital. I really like the use of that word, vital, in every single way. Naturally, I've made other changes that affect my vitality too, but this is certainly a major underlying factor. Anyways, it turns out that even the professionals can be kind of clueless. Maybe you're being a little bit generous there to say clueless, because again, as I have prefaced, that it is not in the medical industry's interests to fundamentally promote healthy people, like it is not in the best interest of the military to promote peace. This is human nature, and everybody's going to look out for number one before number two being you in most cases. So in that way, you kind of have to take greater responsibility and your health into your own sphere. They spout what they learn from some papers, but practical application of that information, even if it is accurate, is a different matter. Don't get me wrong, I have a massive amount of respect for doctors, especially the ones who are truly good at what they do. There's some merit to that. Who can read between the lines and adapt to certain information, who operate with a big heart and desire to serve others. Yet if you have the experiences I have, you would probably have some hesitations too, because being misled about testosterone was just the very tip of the iceberg of the less than awesome experiences I've had with mainstream medicine, you and everybody else. I was terribly misled when it came to my gut health, my general health, to my many year-long detriment. And interestingly, it goes beyond physical help too. When I sought out psychological help with my compulsive tendencies, especially with pornography, but I had another whole host of compulsions around Netflix, social media, cannabis, and the like, I was excited because I thought I was doing the right thing for myself, and directionally I was. Seeking help was a very smart move. But as I later found out, finding solid, competent help that can be challenging. We really ended up just talking in circles about my latest slip-ups, my emotions, my family, And surely I had some accountability there too. But with a problem that runs as deep as adult material use, that's one so accessible at any given moment because of our technological lifestyles and the overabundance of it, I didn't need to just talk. I needed boots on the ground, step-by-step strategies that I could use to induce deep changes in my psyche. This is really, really interesting to me because, I had counseling many, many years ago when I was about maybe 13 or 14. I think I went to see a psychologist as well when my parents were going through a divorce. And what that experience fundamentally told me that, yes, there can be some temporary relief in having CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, talking therapy, fundamentally allowing an outlet for your emotions. But men operate on a level which is more logical and rational and practical comparatively to women. We need a plan. We don't want to talk just solely about the problem. We want an answer to the problem. Men are fundamentally problem solvers. That's why I don't think there's too much merit, let's say long-term serving merit in therapy. I could be mistaken. Maybe many of you can tell me your personal experiences with that and you felt like it was of some value, of some resource to you. But in my personal experience, it's very superficial. It's very surface level. It doesn't address the root of the issue. It is dangerous, in my personal opinion, to believe that the solution in a problem is just talking about it. That just isn't good enough for me. We need boots on the ground, like this gentleman says, step-by-step strategies that I can use to induce deep changes in my psyche. And this is particularly personal to me because it's very, very interesting whenever I do maybe practical videos on how to help you gentlemen around this particular subject, is that it rarely gets as much attention and much value, in my personal opinion, than maybe a story or maybe something a little bit more marketable, let's say. That really addresses the problem. It really addresses the problem. It is the step-by-step. There is maybe a fascination or overemphasis for some men to talk about the outcomes and the benefits, and you hear all these things, women attraction, all these things, and there's a fascination. You know what it is? It's a mental masturbation about these particular subjects. But when I propose maybe something like breathwork, right? That is something real that you can do that takes maximum 20 minutes of your day that will have a tangible impact on addressing the problem. Nobody wants to find 10 minutes to just sit down and breathe, or even less onerous than that, meditate. Like, that has to be the bedrock, the foundation in which you build your church. Otherwise, it's not fundamentally going to happen. But I'm curious to see what this individual used in order to address this problem. So I had to go elsewhere for those answers. It took a long time with tons of research, testing, and self-experimentation, but eventually I did it. I did find what I was looking for, and the knowledge I gained allowed me to finally quit. I developed an ironclad control over my impulses and completely turned things around. This individual is going to leave us hanging here around to such a degree that it regularly blows my mind how much better things have gotten, and those experiences led me down the path that I've been on for over 4 years. Well, if this individual isn't going to give with the goods, I already am. There's some other interesting, it's interesting when people come to speak to me and maybe want one-on-one coaching with this particular issues, is that I have so many different systems now. I've been addressing this particular problem for so many different angles now. It's been like maybe 3-4 years that I have almost developed a library of different roads that you can go down in order to address the problem. So it's fascinating for me seeing that I do have ones that are typically at the top, and they are things like breathwork, because fundamentally what it does is it moves you out of the brain frequency that is associated with addiction, which is beta wave. It's a very high frequency wave, and it's not just PMO. It can be any addiction. It could be smoking, it could be drinking, it could be weed. Every single addict is chronically in beta wave. And the antidote is to move the individual into alpha. And the thing that does that more than any other is breathwork, and it is meditation. So it has to be I've said before that I don't believe that you can really fundamentally have personal jurisdiction and prefrontal cortex control if you don't have some kind of practice daily that moves you from beta into alpha or keeps you in alpha state. That is axiomatically true. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you're lucky enough to maybe not be susceptible to this kind of material, I can guarantee it's because you were raised in a house that promoted activities that propagated alpha brainwave frequency. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a brainwave issue. Now, coming full circle, that's just one system. It's just one thing you can do. There's many others you can do. There's letting go meditations that are in my sexual energy mastery course, which has over 1,400 now people who have used it to quit this addiction. Nutrition is another really fascinating one, actually. I more recently have been delving into the area of how the foods you eat have maybe an inflammatory effect, which can subsequently affect your endocrinology. One big one was the discovery of how niacin could address a issue in terms of your tryptophan production, which influences serotonin, so that kind of happy contentness feeling that you get. And the absence of something like NAD could be the root. So I mean, there's three really viable things you can use to attack this particular problem. But again, don't mentally masturbate over these ideas. Practically do it. Don't do it for me. Do it for you. Do it. You got people in your life you care about? Do it for them. You got children? Your son needs you to be great. And this right now, it's not looking very great. No theories. Facts. Speak soon.